Hello, welcome to my craft room. It's Rhoda. Today we're going to do the flip through of the Wild West Train Journal, but before that I'm showing you how to do the hitch ball fastener. And I have a piece that goes in the front to cover that up. So I'm going to show you that. We're going to do a sneaky peek right now, and then we'll get right to it. And thank you everyone for coming to visit. And here is the page in my March-April journal. That was my birthday, March 22nd. And this was a couple years ago. So, anyhow, I was trying to figure out what to do. I had the stamp set, so I'd stamp this down here. I had another stamp set with balloons. I made the bubbles look like more balloons, and then I put a belly band with a stop. And this was from one of the Stamperia packs that I loved. So I gave myself some dessert there. And I think it's more of a pocket than it is a stop. Yeah. I went and glued up the two sides. That's what's happened. I also have a dangle here in the center. It's got a little angel and a ball on it. This ball reminds me of something from Mom. She used to have this necklace, and it was yellow, amber. I don't think I've got anything on that page. Nothing on that page. Wow. So let me show you this, because that really wasn't much of anything. But you can see the previous one I showed you, how it hangs over. I couldn't show you that the other day, but that's kind of how it works. And anyhow, with this one, I just made a big pocket from a cutout from one of my paper pads. And this was, and I'm not going to be showing you anything really back there. This was where I was experimenting with, here we go, masking. I couldn't think of the name, so I had to go get it to show you. But yes, this is, where you get, and you mask off where they would overlap. See where the wings overlap right there? So what you would do is you would take and stamp on this paper, which is sticky on one side, and you stamp that exact butterfly. Then you cut that butterfly out, and then what you do is, like I was going up where I did the blue one, then when I wanted to do the yellow one, I did a blue one in the masking paper and put it over top of this. So when I stamped this one, that excess piece of his wing got put on the masking paper, so it didn't affect my actual thing here. And that's how it worked most of the way up. So masking paper, if you ever want to experiment, you could use that for things. Now, this is what I call a double tuck, I guess. A wraparound double tuck. I can't remember what I called it. But anyhow, so I had one on each side. And I think I glued the papers together at a certain point. And anyhow, it was really interesting how that turned out. I was happy with it. I mean, I was always trying something new back then. And just to do it so I could figure out how it worked. That's about my whole thing. I want to figure out how stuff works. Well, I want to tell you I'm on a design team for Wonders by Wink by Etsy. And she's on Etsy, I mean. And she has some gorgeous digitals and such. Today, I'm going to put that up here so you can keep track of it. So today, this is what I'm going to use to cover up my place that I'm making in my journal. So here's my journal. I got it done. As you can see, I've got some jeans, and I tried to do a snap, and then I glued the snaps down wrong, but they didn't work for me anyway. So it looks just as good like that. Here's the back. I just used some pizza box. Yeah, I used a pizza box, and I went in here and done that. So this piece is to go here. But what I want to do is put a hole right here in the dead center for the hitch fastener. So let me get that completed somehow. Okay, what I'm doing, and I'm taking my pokey tool, and I'm poking it all the way through there. Then I'm coming back with this bead reamer, or yeah, bead reamer. That was right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get in here and I'm going to drill away a little bit. The hole doesn't need to be too big for this hitch ball fastener post. Actually, let's get us one and see. All right, here's my goodie pack. And I think I'll use this bronzy looking one. Yeah, that looks good. And then you have to find the base that goes with it. Yep, that goes with it. And we need one. I don't think do I have a gold one? I guess the gold one will work. I need an eyelet for the back. So let's do that. Oop. Good thing that's organized. All right. Now see here, this is all I need is that width of a hole. And I may already have it. Nope, need a little bit more. So maybe I'll drill from both sides too, because it's tapered. Okay, I think that might be it. So this goes in from this end. I've got a little bit of a paper wattage there, but I think it's under control now. And then you just screw them on. You put this, looks like the straight edge screw in there, and then you twist this on the front. And then the part you have to do is get you a screwdriver to tighten it. And what I do is I hold it like that, and then I'll screw the outside piece and get it on there. I guess you could put you some glue on there as well. I don't foresee that it's going to come apart, but you never know. You never know. Okay. Then at the last minute, I'll take and do that with a screwdriver. All right. Well, that part's on there. That didn't take much. I thought it was going to be harder. All right. Now that's done. What I want to do is get in here and glue this down now. And as you can see, I have this, I did a video on it. So it's a piece that's got different index cards on here so you can write on them. And then you shut it like this. But how they're attached is on this one big band back here with that little, what was it? What do you call those things? I put it inside because there's a paper on the outside and an index card on the back. But anyway, you can see the video. See how I did that. All right, so we're going to glue it and put it down right here. And I had two little pieces of this left over of the jeans. So I just kind of put it there to match the, front and back piece there. It wasn't just black going into tan. I didn't like that. I wanted it to transition a little better. And we're using fabric type just because I just feel like it'll go on and hold better for me with a big piece like this. So we're just going to do this. And how is everybody enjoying the last blast of summer? We've got fall days, but still warm weather. Usually we'll have Indian summer, but I don't know if we're going to have that this year. Just don't know. All right, one last bit around the outside edge because that's the part that always dries fast. And I got a little bit too much right there. All right, so we're going to put this right in the center, as close to the front edge as possible, just so I have enough room for my fold, because I did make this a little on the wide side because these are 4x6 index cards, and that's what I based the size of this on. All right. Now that I got that thing on the front, it won't lay flat too, so I can press it. So I'll do it like this. Right. Okay. Oops. Oh. All right. Your next decision is where to put your string, or what type of string that you want to go around your hitch fastener. I have this one little piece of rope left, and I'm wanting to use it. So I'm going to try to do it like that. So I'm going to go back here and put me an eyelet, a big eyelet, back at the very back. And I'm going to mark it just so I know I have the center. Although I didn't really measure the front. Alright, so it's going to be about right there. Can I tell that's what that is? There's a few pieces on this paper. Alright, so we're going to get our, we are memory keepers. It's the eyelet attacher thing. I don't know exactly what it's called. The name comes and goes in my mind. I can't remember it sometimes. There we go. Now we're going to do the part where we take this and put it in there. And fits right in. Now I got to make sure whatever's on the front here is the right items to go with this size eyelets. Oh gosh, I don't think that was right. Let's try that. Yeah. That squares it for me. Then I usually finish it with that smaller one. That's why I couldn't get it to work. There we go. All right. So we got that in there. Now what we need to do is to get our rope in here. And then I'm going to tie. So let me struggle with that for a minute. Okay, I ended up taking the rope down to a single strand because it just wouldn't fit in that eyelet back there. So this is what you want to do. You want to have a little bit of give, but you don't want so much that, you know, this doesn't really make a difference. So what I'm going to do is tie it in a knot. It may give a little bit of, you know, a thickness here, but I think I'm okay with that because this is giving me part of the theme. And then we're just going to cut that off. Now you could use any kind of rope you want to. You can just use cord like I've used in the past. So that's what we ended up with. Now we're going to do the flip through. And what we need to do is show you that parts of this is from the train kit and parts of this is from the Wild West kit. And so it's a little mixture in here. Like I said, this is the flippy index cards, and they fold perfectly fine. In 1859, our guy Alex Zhang came over with his brother Philip, and he came over, immigrated from Germany, and he got immigrated. What is that word? Naturalized. He was naturalized in 1859. And this is kind of my picture of him, I assumed. Here, he's been looking into taking a train trip out west. So here he looked into the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, and they have all kinds of connections. And at this point in time, they weren't halfway across the U.S. They were still pretty much just eastern side mostly. In 1866, he had went into the war in 62 and 3, and he fought for his adopted country, and he was for the Union. And I have some Confederate money down here, I guess because he fought against the Confederacy. So anyhow, he got wounded in battle, and he wanted a change of atmosphere and everything from this battle-torn area. It still showed a bunch of the war. In 1866, he bought his ticket, and he decided to travel out to Kansas, Topeka, Kansas. Here is a little thing with train tickets, or tickets on it, and travel. Here's another one of those tickets. I love these tickets. They were 3 different types in the kit. And these images, they're just gorgeous. Okay, so on this side, I have just from the train kit, you had different images. And my printer made it green because I was trying to be cheap with my ink and leaving it in there too long. But anyhow, this is the Baltimore and Ohio, and where it came out from, Pennsylvania and New York, which is where he was from. And it went down through here in St. Louis, Missouri. And then it came over here to Topeka, Kansas. That's where he wanted to go. But it was sort of a long trip, I guess, back then. You didn't get there. You had like a couple weeks, I think, maybe, to get there. This is just a piece of board that you can write on under this belly band. This was supposed to have been on the outside spine, but it didn't work out. Oh my goodness. Yep. And my belly band, when I glued it down, it tried to catch everybody else, which it did. Here was one of my stamps. This is a couple pieces from the kit. I just didn't know what to do with them. They're like tiles that went on the top of the ceiling. Here's a bunch of journaling space. I didn't leave much journaling, really. So I had to put it in here wherever I could. This is one of my collage strips that I was making. And I put it on a hinge and put it here. And this is actually a little pocket. I just don't have anything in it. I thought I'd let whoever gets this be able to fill it up. Now this here was one of the things from the train kit. And I just took this scrap that I had with the supplied tabs that she gave us. I think she gave us about 6 or 8 tabs in the kit. All these different little patterns on them too. Love this. And then here is where he met Jesse James. This was he had stopped. Oh, I forgot the story. Sorry. Here is where he stopped to go and spend time with his brother Philip, who was a brewing magnate. He was like into the brewing, and he had a place in Louisville, Kentucky. So he stops and stays there for about a month. He started his trip in like January of '66, I think. And then on the last leg of the trip, after he got back on after his visit, he met up with this young man and talked to him. And it ended up being Jesse James. So this is Jesse James. And he talked about finding treasure. And his first place he held up was Liberty, Missouri. So that's what that kind of is. That's his gold. And this here was a drawing that I did way back when. So I made like a double pocket. This is one of the abandoned tunnels, or the tunnels that they're working on. I forgot to get my picture from Dingus, but that's over in West Virginia. That's another one of those that turned green on me. And then this is just a piece of wood, but it's a longer pocket. It goes down to here. So there's a lot of journaling right there. This is just more area to either look at or whatever. And then this is a flip out. It flips out and has a hat and a checkerboard design. And you can journal on that because there's not really anywhere there to journal on. But here's where he finally makes it to Topeka, Kansas. And he gets to the depot and unloads. And then he has to rent him some places, or you've got to go to a hotel and stay before he finds out what he wants to do. And he's checking out all the local scenery. He goes to the saloons and the dance halls. And here was a set of cards that I had done in one of my videos. That's another little scrap, but it just kind of tucks down into the deck like that. Here's the chips. And this kind of gave me the idea of doing that. This here is kind of interesting. This is the saloon doors. And in the daytime when they're open, they're like that. So you can swing them. And you can get in here and you can put like little stickers or photos, or you can actually journal on that however you wanted to. Now the way I did this is you can kind of see where I covered something up. That was this tiny little brad. So this is just a piece that I used a decal edge scissor on, and so both edges look like it was rough. And then over here, I don't know if you could see it, I've used several layers. Can you see that? There's several layers at the lower side, and then the outside up is just one solid. So it makes a little, well, if I can get it to go right, it makes a little place to hook that. I knew they weren't going to stay shut. That's why I needed some kind of a closure for them. So that was something sort of different. And then inside of here, we have Clancy's Saloon. I think this is a place up in Alaska, but I thought it suited the purpose. And that's just something they can write on the back there. And that goes in there. Then we go up here, and he gets settled in, and he decides he wants to become a cowboy. So he comes over here, and you've got this that you can kind of write on here and on the back. And it's the Flying Horse Ranch. That's the name of the ranch that he gets to. Now, this can tuck up inside of here. This is a accordion, so it can come apart, and it's got all kinds of different little legs there. But what you got to do is you have to come to the next page with his horse that he buys. And you pull this off, and then you get the two brads, the star brads, and you pull those out. And what happens is this whole piece comes up. And it comes up like that. You got all these boots. You can do all kinds of writing on here, because nobody's going to see any of this down. Then you can write on the back of it. And I just thought it was kind of a different design. And I'll fix all this back up later. I won't make you watch that. But yeah, this goes right back on there after you get the brads back in. It kind of hides it. These two guys, these are like buffalo hunters. There was, the railroad was still being built. So they needed to feed all the masses that were working on the railroad. So they went and started hunting buffalo. Here is a journal card to write on. You could write on the back. You can put more in here. I didn't want to cover the horse, but there's a pocket there. Yeah, this is a complete pocket that goes across. And I don't know if you've noticed, when I tied this together through the signature, I made like a little rope loop where it looked like it was hanging there between the stalls. I didn't know what else to do with that, so I thought, well, let me just kind of make it into a loop, and then I kind of glued it really good at the knot area. So that was a different idea. Here in 1867, they are still working to build the railroad to go across Kansas. It still hasn't got across Kansas yet. Here was a couple more little journal cards you can write on. This was just a tower where they're still working on the railroad. And he actually, while he was in one of the other towns, maybe Abilene, where they drove a lot of cattle to sell, he went to a play there, and he met this Faye Templeton, and he became sweet on her, and they were dating. Or at least he thought they were dating. She was seeing a lot of other men. So, anyhow, this is him and her dancing. And, well, she broke his heart. So, he decided to write off women altogether. He never got married. He just said, forget it. This here is Topeka. And I guess this is part of the meat markets that they had when they were butchering the buffalo meat to feed all of those workers. And I watched Tombstone last night. So this is Wyatt Earp. And the thing with Wyatt Earp was he was out there in Kansas. let's see, I had a little write-up on him. He was born in 1848. He was an American lawman and gambler. He was born in Illinois. He worked as a buffalo hunter when he was young, and he lived in Iowa before coming to Kansas. He was employed in Wichita, Kansas in 1875 and lost it in 1876. He was arrested when he tried to help a marshal. But anyhow, he was let off later. He then moved to Dodge City, where he served as a deputy marshal. Then he went to Tombstone, Arizona in 1879. He did a few different jobs. And then he was involved in that OK Corral gunfight. In 1899, he and Josie went to Alaska. And in late June of 1900, he was arrested in Nome. He was interfering with another officer, and he had to put his weapon into, where was it? Wait a minute, let me turn this around. So he had to put his weapon in the marshal's office, but he had to get on a SS Senator, and he had to leave. So this gun is actually still hanging in the Red Dog Saloon in Juneau, Alaska. And you know, we were in there and we saw this gun. We saw it. It's in this frame and it's hanging right up behind the bar. I always thought that was so neat. And I had to add that part of the history of Kansas here. I mean, you had Doc Holliday, who was my favorite in the movie. You had his Virgil and the other brother, I can't remember. Oh, it was such a good movie. All right, so here we go. He is heard from his brother. His brother is planning on going out to Denver, Colorado, moving from Louisville, Kentucky to Denver, Colorado. So Alexander had bought land, and it was that auction where he could get almost free land. It was very cheap in Pawnee County. So this was sort of a picture of where his land was, and the first tracks that were built across Kansas went from this Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe line, and that went kind of right through his land. So I thought that was very interesting. So he has to put into the works that he has to sell his land because he plans on going out with his brother, or he's hoping he's allowed to go out with his brother. This is just some more journaling. Now here's his brother Philip. Here was a really nice picture of him I found. You can journal on the back of it. But he wants to send a postcard to Philip and ask him if he would be allowed to come out and work. And Philip was all for it. He says, perfect, come out and help me. I need help getting it off the ground. And so that was about the time in 1869 when they got the railroad into Denver. So that's what we have here. A few pictures. This is the railway that goes across. I found a bunch of these pictures online. I just said, hey, let me do this. But it was the Kansas Pacific Railway. So this is where he was, kind of over in this area. And then they rode all the way across over here to Denver. And that's where he went to be with his brother. And his brother also rode this same railroad, go across there. This is just another one of those collage strips, just with different things on it. Little scraps I had left. So that goes in here. It's a little side tuck I made with one of those railroad crossing signs. Some really pretty locomotives here too. And he's on the train and he's moving out to Denver. Here's just a little card to write on behind here. That was more of those ceiling tiles, and so I just made a side tuck. And here's some more journaling. And in 1870, they're out there. This is their building that they got. This is from the kit, the digital kit. And I just put some of the wood grain behind it. And I put it on one of these. And anyhow, this is a picture of Alex going out there. And then here is the picture of their Zang's Beer Saloon. And this is from the kit as well. And guess what? I got online. Oops. Oh, no. When I put that in there, I caught my... Whoops. I don't think I heard it too bad. But anyhow, I caught this, or I got this online. And this is the picture that she caught to put in here. And I thought this is cool. It had lunches over here to the left of it. It had another restaurant to the right. But this is in 1883. It says the original blue front. So I'm not sure if it's blue on the front or what. But it has Powell and Wonderly. I don't know who they are. But this was like let's see. It was the first brewery in Denver, which was also the largest west of the Mississippi. In 1888, he sold it to British investors, and they were shut down in 1915 from the Colorado state prohibition. Philip retired in 1889, and he was listed that same year as a millionaire in Denver. He had mine holdings, gold and silver mines. He was a prominent Denver citizen. And this is Philip, though. And his brother, look at that hole. And his brother, you know, he was out there with him and lived with him, I assume, as well. In 1890 is when Philip passed away while living with his brother. And then in 1899 is when Philip passed away. And they're both buried out there in the same cemetery right next to each other. I thought that was kind of an interesting story. I took this. I had Jody ask me what I did to research this and how it came about it. And what I had done is I took Zang's beer and I just put that into Google and I researched it. And that's when I started finding out about all of these people. I found out about Philip, his brother Alex, and Philip's wife. They came over, they immigrated from Germany after the parents had passed away. And so then I kind of just put these two kits in order of each other, as you can see on one of my other videos. And then I started coming up with the storyline. Now, Philip, I intended to use him. He didn't work out, not with what he was doing in Louisville, Kentucky, and then Denver, Colorado. So I went to Alex, who had a little bit of time between his service in the war and then his moving out to Denver. It was not really a time stamp on that. So I gave him this time in Topeka, Kansas. And I just kind of went with that. So anyhow, I hope you really, really enjoyed this and got some ideas on your own future journals. Thank you for all my watchers and subscribers and for keeping up with me and being faithful. And I really would appreciate a like or a comment or both. So everybody have a great, great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.